Welcome to OKSB OKSB Podcast. I'm your host, Drew. I'm joined with Cornell.
Yo.
Wedding season's over. Pretty much. I recently went to a wedding. It was great. Ultimate proof that you don't need that much money to have a lot of fun.
Oh, no, not at all.
Weddings are amazing. I'm more of a reception guy myself. But yeah, no, weddings were dope. I was very blessed to go to 2 weddings this wedding season. So, yeah. And then it reminded me that I wanted to cover this topic. So, okay, so boom. Is getting married worth it in 2022 and beyond? First, are you married?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm
Okay.
engaged, though.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you.
How long you been?
The engagement's been a couple months. But before the engagement, before I even met her, I was at a point where I was comfortable just doing me.
Yeah.
You know, I was having fun. I was traveling, living my best life, doing what I wanted to do.
You were on that lone man shit.
Yeah, like I've always been the type where I don't mind doing stuff solo. You know,
Right.
If I want to go see a movie, I go to see the movie solo. If you want to come, the more the merrier. But I'm gonna go do what I want to do. I'm gonna go see that movie.
Yeah, I ain't waiting on you.
I'm not waiting on you.
Yeah.
You know, I've planned plenty of bros trips.
Right.
You know, schedule doesn't work out. Hey, it doesn't matter. I'm out. I gotta bounce. Whether it's either cross town or overseas,
Yeah.
I'm out. You know, I got to do what's good for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in that zone where I'm comfortable just doing me, being alone, the one man thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Have I had serious relationships before? I've had a couple, a couple multi-year relationships, didn't work out. And I'm still friends with a lot of my exes. You know, it's not that it crashed and burned. We just grew apart, or we figured out that we just can't live under the same roof. We're good friends, but we just can't live under the same roof. So I push on and keep doing me. So when I met my fiance, it's just that I had that a feeling. Okay, this one truly understands me. Like you've been through it before. You have enough experience where this relationship is okay. She's cute, but that's the main reason I was with her. Or she was fun. She had we had the same sense of humor, but our lifestyles clashed outside of that.
You feel like there were aspects of the other ones that were good, but it wasn't all together.
Right.
They were like the Infinity Stones, but now you got the gauntlet.
Yeah, now I got the gauntlet. And so I was like, okay, you know what? If I had to, go all in this time, I'm gonna go all in with this one.
Good.
I'm gonna give this one the ring.
Yeah.
But as far as the marriage itself, I don't think it has the worth of what it once had. Let me say that. Because now what is it? It's a tax break. It's I have to get permission from the government. I have to let the government know, say, hey, I found this woman and we want to be together. Let's put it on paper. Right. And now it's official. Before we did the same thing. Government had no idea, whatever. You want to be life partners, be together. I don't see a difference between marriage officially and just being life partners. What's the difference besides this piece of paper?
Yeah. I think that you bring up a great point, right? Because for me, marriage has a religious connotation, right? For me. And I know for millions of others, right? So when I think about marriage, I'm like, if I was a secular person, if I was a non-religious person, I really don't see the purpose of marriage, to be honest, because like you said, it's a piece of paper, it's a tax break or whatever the case may be, right? Now, if that's your goals, if that's your intentions, that's fine and dandy too. But I feel like when you make a pros and cons list, especially for men, it kind of doesn't favor well for marriage. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
Because here's the thing, right? So say say you get married, right? Now you're talking about, let's look at the divorce rates, right?
Right.
Skyrocketing. If somebody were to be like, yo, there's a 64% chance you go down this alley, you're going to get robbed. You going down that alley?
I don't know. I like the no.
No. Marriage, divorce is mostly initiated by women. And that's not to put y'all down, ladies. It's just, it is a statistical fact. Most of the time, she's going to walk away with half. If y'all have kids, she's probably going to get those too. So when I think about marriage and the pros and cons list, I'm kind of like, it kind of weighs heavier on the cons, but it all comes down to who though, you know, because at the end of the day, despite some of the views that I have on marriage sometimes, I still do believe in it though, and especially if it's the right person. But here's the thing, is that do women now know what it means to be a good wife? Because even if you say be a wife,
Right.
that in 2022 has a negative connotation. So how is it that you're going to go around here getting married and knowing that you could lose half of everything and the kids with women that don't even know what it means to be a good wife, or even the thought of being a good wife is somehow a bad thing?
Whew.
Whoa.
Okay, so in our society today, we have this raging monster of wokeism. Feminism has long gotten out of control and rampant. And
Because feminism used to mean equal rights.
And nothing wrong with that.
I like that too.
Women, let them vote. Get them in the workplace. They want to work. Hey, I could use, you know what I mean, some cool co-workers to chill with. Bring them. Well, let them do it.
Yeah.
But then there has been this picking and choosing of, well, and then unfair comparisons where they say, you know, men make more, or, you know, women are underrepresented and stuff like that. It's like, okay, so where are they underrepresented? You know what I'm saying? What job fields are you comparing it to? Because there's a lot of jobs out there where
Men are underrepresented.
Or we could, hey, yeah, there's not a lot of women in this field, but are they applying to it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I was a correction officer, maximum security prison. Wasn't a lot of women COs.
Right.
You know, you want to come in? Come on in. We're understaffed. You know, I'd give you the application. I put in a good word for you.
Right.
They're not applying there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of, I don't want to be too, and then this is see, I was about to police myself on this same raging. I don't want to get caught out there by the feminists, whatever, but I don't want to go the stereotypical right, construction, garbage, whatever, not garbage, sanitation. You know, respect on them. They do the dirty work. And they get paid a lot for it. You know, a lot of these jobs, they're just not there. But so where are you misrepresented? You know, and are you applying to those? Do we have to give you, you know, those opportunities, or is it earned because you're a woman? You have to be there now, or is it? So you have to go through that when you're partner choosing. It's like, okay, is the woman I'm going to be with, what type of time is she on? You know?
Yes. Yeah. Like I feel like there's a lot of party girls.
Right.
There's a lot of fun girls. There's a lot of career girls. But I'm starting to see a lack of nurturing women. I'm starting to see a lack of mild temperamented women. I'm starting to see a lot of women who, to be honest, I don't find as good wife material or mother material. And these are things that are important if you want to get married. Now, if you just want to sleep around, there's never been a better time.
Never.
Never in human history has there ever been a better time to just sleep around, because you could sneeze and end up in some pussy. But
Good old days.
but it's almost impossible to find a woman who actually has the capabilities or the qualities that make her either a good mom or a good wife. And with that being said, when I say things like a good wife or a good mom, I could easily flip the script on me, because I would never hold somebody else to a different standard, right? So I look at men and I would ask them the exact same thing. But here's the thing: when I look around, I do see a lot of men who are able to be providers. They're still, the cultural change of men hasn't changed as much as the cultural change of women in the past, let's say 30 years, right?
Right.
Men 30 years ago to now were kind of still similar. But if you were to look at the cultural difference between women 30 years ago and now, the rate of change is so exponential,
Right.
and not really for the best. In some aspects, yes, maybe for the best, when we're talking about careers, when we're talking about education and stuff like that. But how is that going to garner a society? Because at the end of the day, we need the next generation. Like, we need nuclear families to have societies. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So, yeah, you have the point there, and it kind of falls on the values you have of yourself and what you value in a woman. Now, women are more independent these days, they're more career driven, and kudos to that. Get your life in order. I'm doing me. Like I said, I was doing me regardless, right? So if I come across someone who's doing her, but we're compatible on what I deem, then why not give it a shot? So it's finding that balance. And in American society, where we have like so many divides, where it's not just, it's hard to compromise. You have I have the woman that I'm not having any kids. I'm career focused. I'm going to have my career first, and then relationship and kids afterwards, right? And then you find that you come across her, that's that successful businesswoman, successful woman, high up on the ranks. But then the compromise is she's not having that nuclear family that you were talking about.
Right.
Not until she's in a position where she feels where I can get let off the gas. So now, okay, well, maybe the woman doesn't have to be so successful, career driven, And then what do you have? Let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. You have your partiers, no definite career path, just out there living their life on whatever means they can. Okay, she's fun, she's outgoing, she's social, but nothing in the future as concrete material for a relationship. And let's go into the middle of the spectrum now. Now we're trying to find the one who's social, but she has a good head on her shoulders. Education, hit or miss. College, you could argue, is college even worth it anymore?
Right.
So what is she doing? Where is she going? And to find one that's fitting that path.
But the thing is,
hard.
I think it's easier for men to find wives. Well, not nowadays, but I think because our expectations are vastly different, right? Like, it doesn't, not to make men sound easy, but it doesn't take much to meet men's expectations. Just like, don't be fucking rude. Don't be a slut. Don't try to stab me. Don't try to take my shit. Be a good mom.
Yeah.
Be a good wife. Like, hey, you want to work? That's cool too. More money. But I feel like men's expectations and women's expectations are vastly different, which is another reason why I kind of feel like marriage isn't necessarily as worth it for men to get into it. Because like I said, she's probably going to initiate the divorce because of expectations that aren't being necessarily met on her end.
Right.
And, this brings me to a point that I wanted to make on myself. because yes, as much as I ask myself, what makes a good wife, what constitutes a good mom and stuff like that. When I was married, I think that there were pitfalls that I had, because I thought that just being raised as a traditional man, whatever that means, I basically said to myself, okay, I'm keeping the lights on, I'm providing, I'm well-to-do. That was my worth, and that was the extent of me thinking that I was a good husband. Was I physically abusive? No. But do I think that I could have done better on an emotional level? Yes. And I think that that's a big disconnect that we have when it comes to marriage. Is I thought I was a good husband because I was providing, but I neglected the fact that abuse doesn't always have to be a physical thing. Abuse can be neglect. And was I a neglectful husband for the sake of me trying to do the utmost to provide? Yes. But what she didn't understand was that that was my way of showing love, was providing for her and my family.
Right.
And so there was just a disconnect on how that love was being shown, because for me, keeping the lights on and providing was my version of being a good husband.
You see, that's one thing I could empathize with, and that goes back to one of our previous conversations of just being a man. Like, what are you worth? So growing up, we have to hit these benchmarks. You know, you want to be a good man, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do that. So we're so focused on specific achievements, you know, that we feel, okay, I'm doing my job as a man. Now I'm entering this relationship. I'm doing my job as a husband. I'm providing. I guess I'm doing what I have to do.
I've been doing what I've been trained to do.
Are you comfortable? Yes. What more do you want from me?
And see, that is the frustrating thing about a lot of men that were in my situation, right? Is because I was just kind of like, I got to a point where I was fed up, right? Because I was like, what more do you want? Like, all you have to do is not that much compared to what I'm having to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then again, I was comparing what was a lot for me from my perspective, comparing it to maybe what she was going through. Maybe I could have been a little bit more sympathetic when it comes to that. But I definitely don't feel like I was the worst husband. Could I have done better? Sure. But I think that also women need to sometimes lower their expectations when it comes to things, because you got to understand, a man can't do it all. Just like you can't do it all, he can't do it all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right.
Like, there's only one Superman, and he's probably not it. So, you know, if the man's providing, if he's taking care of you, yeah, sure. Sometimes he gets quiet. Yeah, sure. Sometimes he comes home and drinks. Yeah, sure. Sometimes whatever. But that's human. That's humans, man.
Yeah.
Like, no one's perfect. And I feel like another reason why marriages aren't successful anymore is because our tolerance for BS is so low. Like, we are so impatient in a very first world. You know, we've been a very first world generationally now. We've been first world for so long that any little inconvenience to us is just too much. We got to get it out of here.
Right. You're right. Today said the lack of patience. We're so impatient. We, at the first sign of trouble, we're willing to just flip the table, you know, flip the script.
Call it quits.
We're so comfortable in ourselves that at the slightest inconvenience, it's insane, you know? You know, take away the Wi-Fi in a group of people and flip, let the signal go out. You know, and it's like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? You know, just simple conveniences like that. And it translates over to, or I would say it grows more into who we are, and we carry that into our relationships. You know, I'm upset, and I don't know how to talk to my partner because I would see that as being, you know, as a conflict. I want to avoid the conflict, you know, and
because we
cross the bridge.
because we live through a highlight reel.
Right.
And that's another problem is that everything now is just a highlight. Everything on social media, everything you see, everything is just a highlight. So when you get the behind the scenes of that real deal, people don't know how to really like discern between reality and fantasy, because no one's showing you those arguments behind the scenes on social media, because it's nobody's damn business. And rightfully so. You know, I don't want to see freaking married couples arguing on Instagram, but best believe that arguments are normal. Getting into not physical altercations, hopefully not, but altercations nonetheless, is normal. Getting on each other's nerves is normal. You know, one of the things that hurt me the most, to be honest, is how much I was willing to own up and how much I was willing to make sacrifices to change. You know, even though I didn't think I had an alcohol problem per se, I still went to rehab to try to rehabilitate the marriage, to try to save it or whatever. But her mind was already made. But I didn't know that, right? So I went through, 8 weeks of wasting my time, when little did I know she already had her mind made up. I'm not going back to him.
Right.
And at the first sign of trouble, up and left. And does it hurt? Sure. But I think another thing that I feel like marriage is important, and it taught me, was that it really shows you like who you really are and what you're really capable of, because there's no hiding, right? Like, you go to bed next to each other, you're in the living room with each other, you're in the kitchen together. Like, there's no able to escape. Like, I'm alone here by myself. If I want to do disgusting, vile things here alone, I can if I want to.
Right.
But in that marriage situation, I can't. And it teaches you a lot when you're put to the test. You know what I'm saying? What are you really capable of? And I think that I'm glad, even though it failed, I'm glad that I went through that, because it showed me that a lot of good qualities about myself that even now I could still look back and I can say, I tried.
Right. I like that the point in trying,
I can't control them, but I tried.
The whole point in this marriage where I still, even though, yes, I am engaged, and I don't want to come across as hypocritical with saying I don't think it's worth it anymore, or to say it doesn't have the worth of what it once had, because of all the stipulations that is emphasized in
but
marriage.
I think you have
are
hope.
Not emphasized. I have hope.
That's a difference. You have hope.
I do want to be with her.
Yes.
Like I said before, I've had relationships. I haven't entered in relationships with the point of I'm gonna marry this woman. Right. But I enter into relationships. Well, okay, she's good enough to be around me for an extended period of time.
Right.
You know, it's not just a fling or whatever, or a little short stay, but for an extended period of time, she could be in my space. And she has allowed me to be in her space for an extended period of time. Mm-hmm. Let's see where this goes. A couple, we've moved in with each other. That's how I ended up with my son. You know, that's one of my longest relationships, and just to the point, we just grew apart. Mm. You know, we figured out, listen, we just can't be under the same roof. There's certain things you don't want to compromise on, and there's certain things that I don't want to compromise on. And when we finally find that, it's okay, it's just not going to work.
Right.
It's not going to work. So would I have wanted that to work? Of course. You know, would I have wanted... was I at a point where I think I could have married her? I wouldn't mind it, because like I said, it does. I don't see the worth in it anymore. But you know, I'm willing to carry on that tradition. You know, because then you got the stigma, or you guys are just shacked up, or that type of stuff. But you know,
sometimes you can't really discern between, is this really what I want, or is this what's just programmed into me? Like I said before, you know, I had to realize that I was programmed that my only sense of worth as a husband was to provide, which meant that I was slacking in other areas. So that was part of programming. And that's not to say that that belief system still doesn't hold true, because it does. And I don't regret anything. That I don't regret the way that I went about me as a husband. Like I said, could I have done better? Sure. But also she could have done better.
Yeah.
And so, I would say if I were to give any advice for anybody that is thinking about marriage, especially like younger men, I kind of feel like, because I kind of feel like we're roped into the older generation.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know what young men are going through when it comes to that. If they're even thinking about marriage nowadays. But I would say, forget the looks for a second, okay? Yes, that's important, but just forget it for 1 second. I would say the most important things to really know if it's going to be successful or not is like real core values. Down to the core values. For instance, God and politics. And I used to not think that politics played a big factor.
Mm-hmm.
I used to my ex is liberal.
Okay.
But I realized that there's a lot of baggage that came with that, or belief systems that came with that I as a man wasn't on board with. And I think that is a big issue when it comes to marriage, especially nowadays, is because most men have more conservative traditional values and most women are liberal now. So that makes the cultural divide, even when we're trying to find marriage, difficult, because here you have one sense of what it's supposed to look and feel like, and one that's just kind of abstract, just doing it for the sake of doing it. Mm-hmm. But you don't really want to leave those type of gambles up to just some abstraction, right? If you're going to really do it, you need to get down to the nitty gritty. So I would say core beliefs, politics, and look at her actions, not what she's saying with her mouth. Because anybody could say anything, right?
Right.
I could paint myself
Anybody.
as Leonardo DiCaprio with my words, but what have I done? What's my past like? Or better yet, what am I doing right now? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody were to judge me on my past, my present, or my future, that's fine, because there's other people out there, and just like that person. And don't ever feel like you need to be boxed in to a certain situation just because maybe you've spent a couple years together. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's never too late until it's too late. And trust me, you don't want to find out last minute, because that divorce process is something serious.
I think we have to upgrade our vetting process when entering into relationships. What are some things you're willing to compromise on? What are some things you're absolutely is a no-go? You're not going to compromise on. And there's no, like we said before, nobody's perfect. So we got, like, I call it like the 60-70 rule. You got 60 to 70% of what she got, and the other 30% is like, okay, I can compromise on that. Like, nobody's going to be perfect. Me personally, when it comes to like politics, religion, those are things I'm willing to compromise on. If I'm stout Catholic and she might be, a druid, or what, it's like, okay, we got these different lifestyles. Yeah. It's cool, but can we coexist? Is that
you got to talk about though beforehand?
Yeah, and that's what I said. Get the vetting process out the way.
Yeah.
When I think a lot of us tend to fall into relationships.
Yeah.
And then it's now, okay, well, I've been with her, I've been with him so long.
I guess we're just here.
Yeah, we might as well get married, It's been 2 years, it's been 3 years, Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And I think when we ask that question, if we ever end up in a situation where we say, what are we doing here? That's not the relationship for you.
Right.
That's not it. Because it's 3 years in, you shouldn't have that question, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
We're doing a survey around the country on the way population handles themselves and speaks and deals with their friends and interact with their peers.